This is going to be a very important video on child rearing, child education. Many parents never got the orientation on how they can handle their child's education. What I'm going to say in this video is going to blow your mind. And you will not see it anywhere. This is not one of the videos you want to skip. Click on this share button to share this video so that whenever I make a new video, TikTok will show you. Click on this plus sign to follow me. All right. So number one is that there is no difference between expensive schools and normal schools, like averagely priced schools. There is no difference. It shock you. The best school with the highest scores in international exams or national exams in Nigeria, for instance, are from Anambra. And that's because the governor made a reform. Their ex-governor made a reform in the educational system, handed over the schools to the missionary. And the missionary simply organized the schools. Without even a lot of extra funds, it started producing really smart students. But then if you go to places like Abuja or some other rich areas, you see schools that are overpriced. Let me not say overpriced, but highly priced. Schools that are 10, 20 times the prices of the ones you will see in Anambra, but the Anambra guys are still topping, their students are topping the charts year after year. Think of when the governor left many years ago, their students are still topping the charts till today. Why? Because it's not about the cost of the school. It's about the way the school is run. So don't be misled by the price of the school. All right? You have to actually get into the school and make sure it's being run well. So, but then that's not to say that you should go to a super cheap school. Sometimes when the school is too cheap, they don't even have enough money to afford basic necessities in the school. For instance, the roof could be leaking, you know. So that's why before you put your child in any school, you want to get to the school and ask for a tour of the school. It's your money and your child, all right? A tour of the school. You want to move around the school, the different classrooms, and look around. What are you looking for? You're looking for how organized. If a classroom is so disorganized, it means the school lacks discipline. Or maybe you see a student fighting a teacher somewhere, you know? You look at the ceiling. It's always a sign. The ceiling is always a sign at how attentive the school is. All right. Then you look at the chairs so you can make your decision. Once the school is average, bro, you're good to go. If you don't have money, don't go and blow your money on expensive schools and inconvenience your life. After all, for many of you parents, before your children can get to the point of earning salaries, you're dead. You're gone of this life. You're gone out of this life. But if you have the money, I advise you go for expensive schools. Let's say you have enough money for that. No problem. All right. To the point that it doesn't inconvenience you. No problem. This is for people, average income families. Remember that average schools perform just as well or even better. And sometimes it gives your child a holistic experience. Because sometimes that child might be thinking that the whole country is cool just because their school is cool. It's only when you graduate, you meet the rest of the country and they will show you Pepe. Do you understand? So sometimes a school that is a mix of both is always better. Number two, far schools versus near schools. If a school is far, it doesn't make it better. Like there's this concept that many parents have that for them to put their child in a school, the school must be far. You are just inconveniencing yourself and your child such that in case of emergency, you can't quickly show up. Do you understand? I've gone to schools where the village around the school attacked the school. All right? Because of one issue or the other with the security of the school, the village will gang up and attack the school. And when they attack the school, the students that are closer, that live nearby, can easily get home. But the ones that live far, they are stuck. So look for schools that are closer. All right? Except you have a very special reason why the school should be far. And when the school is far, your child risks, if it's a day school, right? Your child risks traffic and transport every day. Accidents happen every day. You shouldn't be exposing your child to all that daily. So if your school is near, it doesn't make it bad. All right? The school that is near to you is far to some people. All right. Which school should you put your child? Missionary versus government versus private. Personally, I would advise a combination of the three because people think that school is only academics. No, it's a holistic experience. All right? You are trying to give the child a strong foundation for life. School is not just academic, it's education. So if a child is going to spend 6 years in a school, my advice, you don't have to take it, all right? 2 years in one kind of school, another 2 years in another type of school, another 2 years in another type. All right? But if you are for academics, I'm telling you, missionary trumps all of them in Africa. Missionary schools that are run by religious bodies. Religious bodies have extreme discipline. So when you send your children to this school, they come up very disciplined. Almost all the time, but not all. All right. They are followed by private. Okay, private might be more expensive, but they want to, you will see the result of your money in many of them, not all. But government schools in most African countries are abandoned. You understand? But then they will be super cheap. So at the end of the day, you make your choice on which one you want to put your child in. All right? But one thing I will always advise is there is nothing wrong with switching your child's school every now and then. In fact, when you're switching your child's school, you are building a proper foundation, a network for them, because many of us have classmates. Your classmates become your strength. When you graduate, the people you schooled will become your acquaintances and your strength. So if you schooled in one school for 6 years, you only have one set of classmates. But if you schooled in 2-3 different schools, you have 3 times the number of connections that you will need in life. All right. So if your child is troublesome, feel free to change them schools every now and then. There's no problem with that. All right. This is not to say that your child schooling in one school is bad. No. But if you're changing school, don't feel that you're losing anything. In fact, you are gaining. Multi-school versus single school. Like, that's what I just talked about. But look at this one. Unisex versus multisex. There are schools that are just one gender, all girls school, all boys school. I would never advise that. Maybe 1 or 2 years your child can spend there. That's all. All right? Because if it's a secondary school, mostly all these all girls schools are secondary schools, or all boys. If it's a secondary school, you need to know that it's a critical period in your child's development. That is when they are forming their sexual orientation. Because most people start puberty at 12, 13, and that is year 2 in the secondary school. All right? And then they graduate at age 16. This is when they're entering their prime sexual age. So when their sexual orientation is forming, if the only kind of people they are seeing is the same gender, that's how you end up with people, in a way, with So what I'm saying is, it's good to have your child in a more balanced environment, so that when those sexual orientation is being formed, all right, they can always be in a place that So that's the thing. Thirdly, make sure that you give your child proper sexual orientation. See what we did in our society. In the olden days, parents used to do this. They give their daughters and their sons proper orientation and education. They used to train them under palm trees and at night with lantern, and then they tell them stories. But now we handed over this education to the government. All right? Government handed the education to some private schools, some missionary schools. Now these schools handed over sexual education to the church. So now the family no longer trains the child on sexual education. The school no longer trains. What is expected is that the church is going to train the child. But when you get to church, how much sexual education do they talk in church? Nothing. They basically tell you, don't do this, don't fornicate, period. So what we have is young ladies that are making mistakes, getting pregnant here and there. Young guys that are making mistakes, people attempting out of curiosity other sexual orientations. Like, crazy stuff is happening in the society today. Remember that you're sending your child to school, but you are the number one trainer of your child. You need to sit them, depending on their age, you know how much sexual education to give them on their age. If it's a child of 2 to 4 years that can speak and understand, just tell them simple something. If any man tries to touch you, just tell me. Not just anybody touches you here, tell me. Period. That's all they need. But as the person is getting to 11, 12 years old, you need to explain to them that this is one gender, this is another gender. You get what I'm saying? Then you also explain to them that this is what sexual manipulation looks like. All right? And this, that. Another one is make sure you know your child's best friend. Know your child's best friend. Most of the information you will get if something is really going wrong is from your child's best friend. When you visit, ask to see their friend. All right? Corner the friend and say, give me update about this guy. Anything, what is that? You'll be amazed at what information will leak out. Do you understand? Then have a teacher that is also looking at your child. Then finally, I'll continue this in the next video. Make sure you share this video and watch the next